The stars stretched like silver wires across the black window. The small transport ship glided quietly through space, its engines whispering more than roaring. Jonas sat beside the window, watching Alaris 9 shrink into nothing but a pale dot behind them. His reflection looked tired, haunted, and faintly blue. The faint light under his skin pulsed slowly like a heartbeat that wasn't only his. He pressed a hand to his chest. It felt warm, alive, and strange, as if something inside him was breathing with him. Sarah stood behind the cockpit controls. "We'll reach the belt in 4 hours," she said softly. "After that, we disappear." Lyra was checking the scanners, her long fingers moving with steady precision. "If the Syndicate traced us, they'll have to cross a dozen sensor traps first. But we can't trust luck." Jonas forced a small smile. "I've never trusted luck anyway." Lyra turned to him. "Good. Then trust us." He nodded, though a part of him couldn't stop thinking about the little girl. Arya. The way she had whispered, "Find us." 2 knocks. He didn't even know if she was still safe. The sisters said she was hidden, but their eyes never met his when they said it. He could feel there was more to the story, something they weren't telling him. Hours passed in silence. The stars moved slowly outside, and the hum of the ship became a lullaby. Jonas dozed in the co-pilot seat, but sleep didn't bring peace. It brought flashes, blue light, fire, the child's voice crying out, "Do not die!" and a sound like 1,000 whispers beneath his skin. He woke with a sharp breath. The cabin was dark except for the glow of the control panels. Lyra was still awake, sitting cross-legged near the doorway, polishing her blade. The weapon shimmered faintly, alive in its own way. "You don't sleep much, do you?" Jonas asked quietly. Lyra glanced up. "Sleep is a luxury when you are hunted." He nodded. "You said Arya was royal. What does that make you two?" Lyra paused, then said, "We are her sentinels. When a royal child is born, 2 protectors are chosen, sisters bonded by oath and blood. If she dies, our lives end with her." Jonas frowned. "So if she's in danger, you feel it?" Her eyes flickered toward the stars. "Yes, every heartbeat of hers echoes in ours." Even now, there was a long pause. Then Lyra whispered, almost to herself, "But lately, the echo is faint." Jonas sat up. "What do you mean, faint?" Sarah's voice came from the cockpit. "She means we're running out of time." Lyra stood. "The link weakens. That can only mean one thing. The Syndicate found her hideout." Jonas felt a chill run through him. "Then we go back." "We help her," Sarah turned sharply. "That's suicide." "They'll be waiting." He met her gaze. "You said I have her blood. You said I'm linked. Maybe I can find her faster than they can." Lyra looked between them, torn. "He's right. The bond works both ways. If Arya's nanites merged with him, he can sense her, maybe even follow the trail." Sarah clenched her jaw. "And if we're wrong, he dies. We all die." Jonas stood. "If we do nothing, she dies anyway." I didn't take 2 knife stabs just to walk away now. For a long moment, the sisters said nothing. Then Lyra gave a small nod. "We go back." They turned the ship around, cutting through the black sea of stars. Jonas sat at the navigation console, his hand over his chest. He closed his eyes and tried to focus on the warmth inside him. At first there was nothing, just silence and the hum of the engines. Then he felt it. A faint pull like a heartbeat answering his own. A rhythm that wasn't his but felt connected. It came from somewhere beyond the belt. "She's not far," he said quietly. "But she's scared." Sarah didn't ask how he knew. She simply changed the course. They broke through the asteroid belt and entered a region of dead space filled with the wreckage of old ships. The scanners crackled with interference. Broken hulls drifted slowly, their metal skins torn by years of silence. "There," Lyra said, pointing. A faint signal pulsed among the debris, a hidden beacon. Jonas's heart pounded. "That's her." The ship drifted closer, weaving between the floating wrecks. Suddenly, alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. "Energy surge," Sarah shouted. "It's a trap." A massive ship uncloaked before them, black, jagged, and bristling with red lights. The Syndicate's insignia burned across its hull. From the darkness, dozens of hunter craft poured out like insects. Lyra grabbed the controls. "Hold on." The transport jerked violently as laser fire lit up the void. Blue shields flared around them, crackling with heat. Jonas grabbed the console, teeth clenched. "Can we outrun them?" "Not in this ship," Sarah said grimly. But we can get closer to the beacon before we fall. Closer? Jonas said. You're planning something. Lyra's eyes hardened. We'll crash right into them if we must. The ship dove sharply, weaving through fire. The hunters followed. A beam tore through the left wing. The cabin filled with smoke and sparks. Jonas could see the beacon now. A small cracked station floating in the middle of the debris field. That was where Arya was hiding. He could feel her fear now. It pulsed through him like thunder in his veins. She's there, he shouted. That station. Lyra gritted her teeth and slammed the controls forward. The ship tore through a field of floating metal, clipped a broken satellite, and slammed into the station's docking ring. Everything went white. When Jonas woke, the world was tilted. The ship was half buried in twisted metal. He unbuckled and stumbled through the smoke. His chest burned, but his body felt alive, stronger than before. The nanites hummed under his skin like 1,000 sparks. He climbed through a hole in the hull and stepped into the station. The air was cold and still. Dim blue lights flickered on the walls. Arya, he shouted. His voice echoed through the corridors. Lyra and Sarah followed, blades drawn. The silence pressed in like a weight. Then from the darkness ahead came a soft voice. Jonas? He froze. Arya? A small figure stepped into the light. The same little alien girl he had saved. Her dress was torn, her face pale, but her eyes still glowed softly. She smiled weakly. You came. Before he could answer, red lights flickered on behind her. The lead hunter stepped out of the shadows, his scarred face twisted with satisfaction. She's not yours to save, human, he said. You carry her blood, yes, but that only makes you easier to drain. Lyra moved in front of Arya. You will not touch her. The hunter raised his blade. You can't stop me. Jonas stepped forward. Maybe she can't, but I can, the hunter laughed. You? You bleed like any other fool. Jonas clenched his fists. The warmth in his chest exploded into fire. Blue light poured from his veins, racing across his skin like liquid lightning. The air crackled around him. The hunter's laugh faltered, Lyra whispered. By the stars. Jonas's eyes glowed the same shade as Arya's. You hurt her once, he said, his voice calm and cold. Not again, the hunter charged, blade slicing through the air. Jonas caught it with one hand. The red light died against his palm. He pushed back, shattering the weapon like glass. The force threw the armored man across the room, slamming him into a wall. Sarah fired her pulse gun, dropping 2 more hunters. Lyra fought beside Jonas, their movements sharp and fluid. The station filled with light, red, blue, gold, fire and smoke and chaos. Arya crouched behind a crate, clutching the heart shard in her hands. The glow inside the sphere flickered wildly. Jonas felt it too, a sudden pain in his chest like something calling to him. Arya, he shouted. What is that? She looked up, tears in her glowing eyes. It's breaking. The shard can't hold the bond anymore. If it dies, I die too. Jonas looked down at his hands, still glowing. Then take mine, he said. He ran to her and knelt. You saved me with your blood. Let me give it back. She shook her head. It's too dangerous. You're human. I don't care. Lyra and Sarah shouted from across the room, still fighting. Jonas, no. He pressed his glowing hand to the shard. The instant he did, blue light exploded from both of them. The station trembled. The hunters froze as energy filled the air. The glow spread through Arya's small body, and then through Jonas's chest, connecting them in a web of living light. Jonas's mind filled with images, alien cities, ancient stars, voices singing in languages he couldn't understand. For a brief moment, he saw through Arya's eyes, her world before the fall, her people burning, her flight into exile. Then the light swallowed everything. When the glow faded, Jonas lay on the cold floor, gasping. His vision cleared slowly. The hunters were gone, turned to dust, their armor melted. The station was cracked but still standing. Lyra and Sarah knelt beside him. Jonas, Lyra said softly, Can you hear me? He nodded weakly. Is she? Arya stood nearby, holding the shard. It was whole again, shining bright and steady. She smiled, tears on her cheeks. You saved me again. Jonas smiled faintly. Guess we're even now. Sarah looked at him carefully. Your eyes. He blinked. The reflection in the metal wall showed faint blue light still glowing in his pupils. The nanites hadn't left him. They had merged completely. Lyra touched his shoulder. You are not just human anymore. He sat up slowly. Then what am I? Sarah answered softly. You are what the old stories called a starbound. A bridge between our blood and yours. Something that was never meant to exist. Jonas exhaled, staring at the stars through the broken window. Guess we'll figure it out together. Arya took his hand in her small one. You belong with us now. By our law, you are family. He smiled faintly. Family, huh? Haven't had one of those in a long time. Lyra helped him stand. Then you do now, and the Syndicate will hunt us until the end of the stars. So we keep moving. The small room was quiet except for the soft hum of the kettle. Jonas sat across from the two alien women, Lyra and Sarah. The air smelled of mint, smoke, and something faintly metallic like the scent before lightning. He kept his hands still on his knees. Both women studied him the way soldiers study a weapon they do not yet understand. Lyra spoke first. You should not have come here, she said. The men who hurt you will not stop. You drew blood in their hunt. They never forgive that, Jonas frowned. Then why save me? Sarah looked at him. Because you saved her. Because she asked us to. Jonas thought of the little alien girl, Arya, her big glowing eyes, the way she had whispered, "Don't die." He leaned forward. Where is she? Is she safe? Lyra and Sarah exchanged a glance, a quick flash of something heavy. Fear, sadness, or both. Then Lyra answered, For now, but she cannot return. The hunters who came for her belong to the Syndicate. They serve a house that wants her dead. They believe her blood carries an old right, something lost in their empire. Jonas blinked. She's just a child. She's more than that, Sarah said quietly. She is the last child of the Exarch's line, the ruler who united 12 alien worlds. Her blood is proof of that lineage. That blood is why you are still breathing. Jonas frowned deeper. What do you mean? Lyra pointed at his chest. The wounds you took should have killed you. The knives the hunters use are made to cut deeper than flesh. They burn from within. Arya's blood healed you, but it also changed you. When she poured the vial over your wounds, she mixed her nanites with your human blood. They merged. Jonas's hand went to his chest instinctively. You're saying I'm infected? Sarah shook her head. No, you are linked. The nanites are alive in you now. They obey your body, but they carry her code. That makes you something new. Jonas stood, pacing the small room. His steps echoed softly on the rug. So what? I'm glowing blue inside now. You're telling me I've got royal alien blood in me? Lyra's tone stayed calm. It is not a joke, human. The Syndicate will sense it. You have her scent, her signature, her spark. If they track you again, they will not stop at knives. Jonas let out a slow breath. His heart beat fast, too fast. He could still feel the warmth under his ribs, the strange humming he had tried to ignore since waking up. Then what do I do? Sarah looked out the window. The rain outside had turned into mist. You leave Alaris 9 before the next rotation. The Syndicate's patrols will double by morning. Jonas hesitated. And you? What about Arya? Lyra's lips curved into a sad smile. We will protect her. That is our duty. He didn't like it. Leaving felt wrong. He had nearly died for that little girl. He had seen the terror in her eyes. The idea of running while she stayed hunted twisted his gut. No, he said finally. You said they'll track me. That means I can help. If they're coming for me too, then we face them together. Sarah turned sharply. You don't understand. You are human. You are not part of this war. Too late, Jonas said quietly. Your enemies already decided I am. The sisters fell silent. The air between them tightened. Finally, Lyra stood. Then if you stay, you must understand what you carry. She crossed to a cabinet and opened it. Inside was a small box lined with silver cloth. From it, she took out a glowing crystal sphere about the size of a fist. Inside it, liquid light swirled, blue and gold. She held it out for Jonas to see. This is called the heart shard, she said. Every royal of the Exarch line is given one at birth. It connects to their nanites, binds them. Arya's shard was stolen years ago before she could even speak. The Syndicate tried to use it to claim her bloodline. When that failed, they sent hunters to erase her completely. Jonas watched the sphere. The glow reflected in his eyes. You found it, Sarah nodded. We did, but too late. The girl had already been marked, and the hunters never forget a scent. They will come again, and they will come for you now as well. Jonas rubbed his neck. You two act like this is the end. Maybe it's not. Lyra's expression softened just a little. You think like a soldier. I'm not, he said. Just a mechanic, Sarah crossed her arms. A mechanic who took 2 knife stabs for someone he didn't know. Jonas smiled faintly. That's not bravery. That's bad timing. The sisters shared a look, one that said they didn't believe him. Then a sound interrupted them. A low hum, faint but growing. The window glass trembled. Jonas turned toward it just as a red beam of light scanned across the wall. Sarah hissed. Drones! Lyra dropped the sphere back into its case and sealed it with a press of her palm. They found the signature. Before Jonas could ask what that meant, the building shook with a dull boom. A second later, a scream echoed from outside. Metal tearing, a crash of shattering glass. The window blew inward, and a black drone the size of a chair spun into the room, spraying sparks. Its red eye locked on Jonas. Down! Lyra shouted. She pulled a blade from her cloak, a thin, blue-edged weapon that sang when it moved. She sliced through the drone's lens. The machine sparked, twisted, and exploded in a burst of smoke and light. Jonas ducked behind the table, coughing. His ears rang. That was a scout, wasn't it? Sarah grabbed a pack from under the table and slung it over her shoulder. Yes, which means the hunters are already near. Another explosion shook the floor below them. The hallway filled with the wail of alarms. From outside came the roar of engines and shouting voices. Jonas could hear them, rough, angry, familiar. The same voices from the alley. He felt his chest burning again. His pulse thudded like a drum. Lyra pulled a small metal disc from her cloak and threw it against the wall. The disc unfolded into a glowing blue doorway, an energy portal. This leads to the lower district, she said quickly. We go now. Jonas hesitated. How does that even work? Ask later. Sarah snapped. They jumped through. The world folded, then unfolded again with a sick twist. Jonas stumbled out into a narrow street flooded with dim purple lights. His knees hit wet concrete. He gagged from the dizziness. Behind him, Lyra sealed the portal with a flick of her blade. Sarah looked around, scanning the rooftops. We can't stay here long. They will trace the jump. Jonas straightened. You two have been running a long time, haven't you? Lyra nodded once. Since Arya was born. Jonas took a deep breath. Then maybe it's time you stopped running. Sarah glared at him. You think you can fight an empire? With what, a wrench? Jonas reached into his pocket and pulled out his plasma torch. He thumbed it on. The blue flame hissed bright in the rain. With this, and whatever these nanites inside me are doing, Lyra almost smiled. You really are human. Before anyone could answer, a shape landed hard on the street behind them. A tall figure in black armor stood up slowly, water dripping off his helmet. His red visor glowed like fire. 2 more landed on nearby rooftops, their boots thudding like thunder. The lead hunter raised his blade. The human lives, he said in a cold, mechanical voice. The Order wants him alive. The sisters. Ted. Lyra stepped in front of Jonas. Over my body. That can be arranged. The hunter charged. Jonas barely saw him move. One moment the man was 10 feet away. The next he was swinging. Lyra met the strike, her blue blade sparking against the red edge. The street filled with light and sound. Sarah fired a small pulse gun, hitting one of the rooftop hunters and sending him spinning down into the trash below. Jonas turned on his plasma torch and blocked a second attacker who had jumped from above. The blade hit the torch's flame, and the flame cut through metal. Jonas's arm moved faster than he thought possible. The hunter stumbled back, armor glowing red where the torch had touched. Jonas's chest buzzed hot, the nanites reacting. His sight sharpened. The rain seemed to slow. He could see every droplet hanging in the air. The lead hunter slashed at Lyra again, but Jonas moved before he knew it. He caught the blade with his bare hand, and it didn't cut. The red light dimmed where it touched his skin. Then, in one furious motion, he wrenched the weapon from the hunter and smashed it across his helmet. The visor cracked. The hunter stumbled. Impossible. Jonas's veins glowed faintly blue under his skin. He looked down, shocked. What is this? Lyra's voice was calm even as she fought. It's Arya's gift. You are bound to her blood now. The nanites recognize a threat. They protect. Sarah fired again, taking down the last attacker. The street fell silent except for the hiss of the rain and the steam rising from broken machines. Jonas let the stolen blade fall. His hands trembled. I didn't mean to. You saved us, Sarah said simply. He looked around. The hunters' bodies flickered and then vanished, their armor self-destructing into ash. They'll send more. They will, Lyra agreed. But now we know what you can do. Jonas met her eyes. I didn't even know what I was doing. Sarah touched his shoulder. You will learn. You have to. Lyra pointed toward the dark end of the alley where a sleek transport ship rested under a tarp. We go off-world tonight. There's a safe haven beyond the belt. A place the Syndicate cannot reach easily. You'll come with us, Jonas hesitated. And if I don't? Lyra's expression turned sad. Then they will find you. And when they do, they will take the child's blood from your veins to find her. Jonas looked up at the sky, the clouds glowing faintly with the light of ships above. He thought of the girl's small voice, her trembling hands, the lavender scent of her hair. He nodded slowly. Then I'm coming. The sisters shared a look of quiet relief. Neon rain fell like broken glass over Alaris 9. The city always looked wet and sharp at night, as if the streets themselves could cut a person if he walked too fast. Delivery drones hummed between tall metal towers. Signs in a dozen alien scripts flickered above food stalls and pawn shops. The air smelled like hot oil, solder smoke, and sea salt from the far docks. Somewhere a siren wailed, then died. Somewhere a bar door opened and spilled music into the rain. Jonas Quinn kept his head down and his hands deep in his jacket pockets. He was a human mechanic with grease under his nails and a rent bill that never got smaller. His day had been long. A cargo loader had snapped a wrist joint. A miner's shuttle had coughed coolant like an old smoker. A rich broker had yelled about a squeak that did not exist. Jonas had smiled, nodded, and fixed it all. Now he only wanted a hot shower and the cheap stew he had left in the cooler. He cut through Crossline Alley to save 10 minutes. Everyone said not to take Crossline at night, but everyone also said many other things that did not fix rent. The alley was a spine of shadow between two long brick warehouses. Trash bins stood like metal giants with bad posture. Puddles reflected the neon signs and made the ground look like shifting fire. Steam crept from a vent and curled like a ghost around Jonas's boots. He heard quick steps. Not one person, several. He slowed. The echo came from ahead. A small figure ran into view, slipped in a puddle, and hit a bin with a hollow clang. The figure scrambled up, panting, and pressed its back to the metal. It was a child. Not human. The skin shone pale blue, almost silver under the neon. Large eyes glowed softly the way deep-sea fish glow. The girl's clothes were wrong for the cold. A thin dress, bare feet. She hugged a little satchel to her chest. 3 men came after her. Hunters by the way they moved, tight, careful, hungry. They wore dark coats made for bad weather and worse choices. Each one held a knife with a strip of red light along the blade. The glow meant the edge would cut bone like butter. Jonas knew that type. He had sharpened one once for a miner who liked to pretend he was a soldier. The child looked left. She looked right. There was nowhere to go. Her eyes locked on Jonas. She did not call for help. She only shook her head once, very small, as if to warn him away. The lead hunter grinned and raised his knife. Jonas moved without thinking. Later he would wonder why he did it. Maybe because her eyes looked like the eyes of a child he had known long ago. Maybe because his father had taught him a simple rule. If a small one is in danger and you can take a step, then you take a step. Even if the step hurts. Even if the step breaks you. So he took the step. Hey, Jonas shouted, voice harsh in the cold. Back off. The hunters turned. 2 spread to the sides with quick, trained motions. The third kept his grin. He had long hair slicked flat by the rain and a scar that looked like a bent nail across his cheek. Walk away, human, he said. His voice had a purr of a border accent. You do not see this girl. You never saw her. Jonas kept walking. He put himself between the girl and the knives. He felt her breath on his back, small and fast, like a bird trapped in paper. He opened his hands to show he did not carry a weapon. She's a kid, he said. I don't walk away from kids. The right-hand hunter came fast, knife low. Jonas stepped in, the way a dock guard had taught him years ago. He knocked the man's wrist with a hard palm, then kicked his knee. The man grunted and dropped back, surprised. Jonas had half a second to feel the wild rush of fear and power, and then the lead hunter moved like lightning. The first stab slid under Jonas's ribs. Heat flashed through him. He gasped and grabbed the man's coat to hold him close, not to fall. The second stab hit higher, a burning punch. The world narrowed to a tunnel with red at the edges. He heard the child cry out. He forced his body to move anyway. Jonas slammed his forehead into the hunter's nose. Bone crunched. The man swore and stumbled. Jonas shoved him away and turned, dragging air into his lungs that did not want to work. He spread his arms, making himself a wall. Run. he said over his shoulder. The word came out like cracked stone. Go! The girl did not run. She grabbed his jacket and tried to pull him. Another hunter rushed them. Jonas swung a trash bin lid like a shield, catching the knife on the metal rim. Sparks burst. He pushed forward, buying a step, then another. Left, he said to the girl. Behind the bins, hide. This time she obeyed. She slipped sideways and squeezed into a gap between two containers, vanishing like smoke. Jonas backed over the spot, planting his boots to block it. He was not fast now. He was not strong. He was a man bleeding in the rain, holding a metal lid against 3 knives. He lasted longer than he should have. A siren wailed again, closer. Maybe a patrol drone. Maybe something else. The lead hunter cursed. Not here, he snapped at the others. He bleeds out. The girl will show again, move. One of them kicked Jonas's knee. He went down hard. The lid clanged away. Cold water kissed his cheek. The night sky spun and the neon signs blurred into a single smear of sick light. Footsteps pounded into darkness. Silence came back thick and total. Jonas felt the rain on his face and the warmth of blood under his shirt. He thought of the stew in his cooler and laughed once, a small dry sound. A soft hand touched his temple. The child leaned over him, her eyes bright with tears. She smelled like rain and lavender and something like mint. Do not die, she whispered in a voice that was music and smoke. Please do not die, he tried to smile. Wasn't in the plan, he said. The words tasted like iron. She opened her little satchel and took out a thin vial that glowed pale blue. Her hands shook. She looked at his wounds, then at the vial, then at the alley mouth, afraid of the hunters coming back. She bit her lip until it turned violet. Forgive me, she breathed. She poured the glowing liquid on the stab wounds. The fluid sank through his shirt as if the fabric was not there. Cold spread through his chest, then hot, then something that was both at once. He arched and gasped. The pain turned into a thick pressure, as if a heavy hand pressed on his heart to keep it beating. The girl pressed her palm over the worst wound. Symbols bloomed across her skin, a brief script of light. Jonas felt the world drift away like a ship leaving a dock. Find us, she said, voice far now as if he were already underwater. If you wake, find us. Knock 2 times. 2 knocks. We will come. Who? Jonas tried to ask, but he fell through the floor of the world. When he woke, the light was soft and green. A ceiling hummed above him. He lay in a medical pod half open, with a cheap clinic's logo etched on the side. A heart with wings and a crack in it. He tasted mint. A spray bandage wrapped his chest warm with slow medicine. Someone had removed his boots and put a folded towel under his head. His jacket lay on a chair. It was torn and stained and smelled faintly of lavender. A med tech, human, thin as wire and bored as rain, glanced up from a tablet. You're alive, she said. Not what I expected. Me either, Jonas said. His voice sounded like he had swallowed sand. How much? Pod time, pain scrub, 3 units of coagulant gel, 2 stitches because I'm old-fashioned. She counted, tapping. 900 credits. But your friend prepaid half. A girl with blue eyes. Very polite, scared, left quick. Jonas's hands curled on the blanket. Where did she go? The tech shrugged. Said thank you and sorry. That was all. I asked a name. She gave a look like I had stepped on a prayer and left. She slid the tablet toward him. Sign? If you cannot pay the rest, pay in 3 weeks. Interest like a bad joke, he signed. He stood slow, dizzy, and dressed, each motion heavier than it should be. The stab wounds throbbed but did not bleed. He touched his chest and felt a strange warmth under the skin. A faint buzz like a pocket com against his ribs. What did you put in me? The tech blinked. Nothing but gel and stitches. If something else is in there, it walked in by itself. He left the clinic into morning fog. The city looked softer in daylight but no kinder. His small apartment was 3 blocks away, up a stair that groaned like an old man with each step. The hallway smelled of noodles and machine oil. He unlocked his door and stepped into quiet. A kettle, a small table, a workbench with tools in neat rows, a narrow bed he never made, and a window that looked at brick. Home. He set water to boil and stood with both hands on the counter until the room stopped spinning. He made tea with too much sugar and sat on the edge of the bed to drink it. He stared at the jacket on the chair. He lifted it and pressed it to his face. Lavender and rain. He set it down. He told himself the smart move was to forget. He told himself the city was full of sad stories and he was not a hero, just a man with a wrench and a small amount of kindness he could not seem to lose. He told himself all this and knew he was a liar. The child had said, "If you wake, find us." 2 knocks. "We will come." He finished his tea. He showered and cleaned the dried blood away. He changed into a fresh black shirt and a jacket that was almost not falling apart. He slid a small plasma torch into his pocket, the kind used to seal Hull hairline cracks. It was not a weapon, not really. But it made a hot blue kiss that could hurt someone trying to hurt him. He checked the charge full.